Hey there guys, I'm Ken with the Shop Mini RC. Welcome back, and today we've got something new. Well, new to us. We picked it up off one of our local guys, yeah, we don't have an Atomic. We figured if we were going to get Atomic, we would get an all-wheel drive. So everybody said the SZ2 drive shaft all-wheel drive is the way to go, and well, he just happened to have one he was looking to get rid of. So we're going to put this guy together. It's got the upgraded spring steel chassis. It's also got the upgraded rear shock tower and upgraded knuckles. And we are going to use this and this. This is the Furitek Hellfire. It's a 5500. The golden purple looks awesome. And then we also have the new Cyclos, which is the censored, to go with the censored motor. It's a censored ESC. We are waiting on a servo. We literally just got this thing last night. And first thing today, we are checking it out. So we already had the Cyclos and the Hellfire here. We just had not had anything to put them in. And so this made perfect sense. We love the Furitek stuff. We use them in a lot of, almost all of our crawlers that we upgrade have Furitek ESCs, the Lizard Pro, Lizard Ultimate, regular Lizard, and then their different motors are awesome as well. We have a couple of those, and so we figured we'll use these in here, and it'll be hopefully pretty sweet. It's a 5500. So our kit only had two pinions. One was a 30 and one was a 27, and according to this chart, we'll show you here, you really want a 26 or a 25 with the KB that we're going with. But we'll have to just do with the 27. We'll see how that works. So I guess the first thing we're going to do here is just put our motor and pinion in. The motor mount on this is adjustable here. You like slide it left and right. And it uses this big guy. It's a 27 tooth. And the spur here is a 35 tooth spur. Now, one of the cool things about this car is that it's actually got like a differential here in the drive shaft. And one of the benefits to that is when you run larger rear tires and smaller diameter front tires, it causes a sort of binding in the drive shaft because your rear tires are going to be moving at a slower rate than your front tires, right? Smaller front tires are going to spin faster. Or, they're going to want to be spinning faster compared to your ground speed. And that can cause, loss of traction or basically binding of sorts in the drive shaft. So with this setup, it actually has a differential here, essentially, like a slipper clutch type plate. And it helps reduce the amount of binding or speed difference causing an effect on the car by having that. So that's very cool. So we're just going to go ahead and mount this guy up. The easiest way to do that is to get the plate off the back, or the mounting plate, basically, removed. And then you can pull this out. Then we're essentially going to line it up. I'm trying to see how I want the wiring to sit. So if this is flat, either have it inward or a little bit outward, it looks like. We'll go with just a little bit outward so that we know we've got a little bit extra clearances. I don't want the wires pushing right up against that. Actually, let's do it inward. I think we got space because it's a large pinion. So we'll face it a little inward. So we'll essentially be sitting like this. Then we'll be able to run our wires real short over to here. Yeah, that's fine. We'll go ahead and put our pinion on now, just so we can kind of see where we're at. And actually, we're going to go ahead and put a little bit of Loctite on here. I don't want to be messing with this later and having it back out on us or something. So we'll just put a tiny dab of Loctite. We really need to get a 0.09 wrench. We have like a cheapy one, but we need to get a good like MIP or something. All right, and now we can put our other screw on and we'll adjust our mesh. We're going to also Loctite these. So let me get a little bit of Loctite. Again, we're not using much on this. I just want a little bit so that they don't back out. I am notorious for losing screws on the racetrack, so I've just gotten to the point where I feel like I just need to Loctite everything. Oh man, that's awfully close. That's closer than I really wanted. Talking about this here. It's almost touching. I thought we'd be like a little further away, something like that. But we are very close. And we'll Loctite the other one. We already checked our mesh before we completely tighten this side down. So we should be still good. You should see a little bit of play in there, right? So I'm holding the spur. You can see a little bit of play in the pinion. Feels nice and smooth. You have good mesh, your car shouldn't be super loud, and you're not going to risk stripping or heating up your motor because your mesh is too tight. You always want just a little bit of play. Tiny bit. All right, well, I guess it's not too close here. We'll be able to have real short motor wires, I guess. So the real question now is, I guess we mount our ESC on top of our battery tray here. We run it like this and then just run our wires like this. I think that may end up being it. And then we'll have our battery or our servo, which we're still waiting on. Hopefully we'll have it by the end of this video. But we'll have our servo in there, and we'll just put our receiver, which is one of these little guys, on top of our servo. So yeah. We got our battery in there so that we can kind of see how our battery is going to go. We'll probably end up shortening up this battery lead a little bit. We'll still have to put our transponder on there, which will probably end up right about here. And then our censored cable, and then our receiver can go right here on top of the servo once we put the servo in. I don't know of any other ways it would go well. If we were running it with the body clips and we were going to run Lexan only, we'd pull the body clips off, and then maybe we could put the receiver down here, or even maybe the speed control. I don't know. Yeah, you could probably fit the speed control there, but which would be good because ideally you want the CG as low as possible. But I think we're just going to have to just slap it on top here for now. And if things change, we can change it up, but we'll just do this for now. So let us go ahead and mount it. Just use this double-sided sticky tape. And yeah, it should work just right. We will do that, and then we will cut and solder. So I think we're going to run them like this. A to A, B to B, C to C. If it was sensorless, it wouldn't really matter the order, and we'd probably actually do it like this, just because it looks better, in my opinion. We just run them like that. But with it being censored, as far as I understand, you should do them in the order that it says. So we'll do it like that. And then, as always, if you're soldering, or maybe you're new to soldering, you want to tin all your wires. Use a little bit of flux, and you tin your wires. And you also tin your connecting points. Actually, I'll just take a little bit of flux, and I'll put it on the motor contacts, just a little bit. Okay, you can see our contacts have just a little bit of solder on them, and then that will allow us to easily solder together the wire and the contact, because you're really just soldering, melting the solder together at that point. So we'll just do C first. All right. Looks pretty good. I think all of our connections are good. Yep. Nice and solid. All right, so we're all hooked up. We're good to go. Forward, reverse. You definitely want to go in and set up your Furitek. The app is awesome. It's super easy to use. And you want to update your ESC and then change your settings to get them where you want them, and also make sure you set your throttle endpoint. Well, not endpoints, but your throttle, I guess dead zone. That's where you set the neutral, full throttle, and full brake, and you can do that all through the app. So the first thing you're going to want to do once you've got it all able to power up is make sure you hook up your Bluetooth device, download the Bluetooth app, and you'll see it pop up. You can choose that car, and it goes to your settings. Now, the first thing you want to do once you're in here is make sure you update your firmware. And when we don't have the internet right now, but when you have internet, it'll pop up all the different firmwares. I think the current one is 1.4, and just go ahead and update it. It takes maybe a minute. If your firmware, for some reason, like crashes or the ESC shuts off and then you try to get back in, it will know that it's in like a boot mode or firmware update mode, and you just have to keep trying to update it. I've never had an issue until I did this one. For some reason, I don't know if my internet disconnected or what. We have really bad internet the past couple days, but it was definitely an issue, and so I just kept trying to update it, and eventually it updated just fine. It got me scared for a second. I thought I like bricked it or something like that, but it did update. Just had to keep trying. Wasn't a big deal. Only took a couple minutes, like maybe 5 minutes. I didn't like spend a ton of time on it, maybe 5 minutes. But hitting it, resetting the app, turn it off, turn it on, try to update again, should be good. Anyway, you've got your motor type, brushless or brushed. Obviously we're on brushless, your auto sleep and auto shutdown, and your unit temperature type, so Fahrenheit or Celsius. This shows the device info. You can see we already updated to the 1.4. I think it came as a 1.0. I think this is one of the first ones, so it's not updated when you get it from the factory. This is all your telemetry information, so you can see. Okay. The next thing is going to be your running settings, and it's forward with reverse, forward with brake, or just forward reverse. We use forward reverse with brake. Your voltage cutoff, it's usually set to none. We don't really like to do that. I mean, in race cars, because you're always charging the battery and you don't really run it till it dies, you can usually leave it off, but we still will put it at 3. I have heard it with some other ESCs, not necessarily the Furitek, but some other ESCs, when you give it a lot, when your battery starts to get low and you give it full throttle, you'll hit your voltage cutoff, and that could be bad. So if you're experiencing something like that, just shut off your voltage cutoff or anything that's like basically limiting or protecting that. Because sometimes when you throttle, full throttle, it's going to drop your voltage lower. Anyway, change your rotation on the motor, your different startup powers, then your max forward, max reverse, max brake, some drag brake, and then power FOC is field of control. That's usually used for crawlers. I don't know how it affects the road cars. I think we might actually want to turn that all the way down. Because usually what it does on a crawler is as you're going over a rock, it tries to maintain the same RPM in the motor, even though there's resistance. So it just basically keeps the crawling smooth. That's my understanding of it. If you know better, comment down in the comments and people can check that out if you've got more information on field of control. But from my understanding, it basically just tries to maintain the same RPM. If you're maintaining the same throttle and then it has resistance or starts to slow for a reason, like crawling up a rock, it'll continue to power it up to keep it going at the same speed. I don't know how that would really affect racing, but it could. Then we have our throttle. This is where we calibrate our throttle. So the first thing you're going to do is hit that. You're basically going to say, do you want to start the calibration? Yes. First thing it's going to ask for is to set your 0, which is don't touch the throttle. So you set 0, say OK, it'll beep once, then you're going to do max speed, pull the throttle, OK, and then it'll beep again, and you can do reverse. And there you go. Do we want to save? Yes. And now our throttle is completely set. Your dead zone, essentially, right? All right, so we have our neutral forward. That's basically also setting a little bit of your dead zone. Do you want it to be narrow, normal, wide, or super wide? Our punch, our neutral brake, and then our low speed. I'm not sure how low speed affects this as well. That's another setting I'm not positive on. We then have our throttle. We then have our throttle curve, and you can change that so that it's kind of like an expo, right? It's basically your built-in expo. I like to leave it just as linear as possible. And then I can change it in here. But if there's a reason you want to change it in your ESC, you can. You can change it for forward and for reverse. People like to use that on crawlers a lot. And then our advanced has all of our timing, our boost, our turbo, and then we have this low speed setting. Again, not sure what the low speed is. I think they just recently added that. If you turn on any of the turbo or boost, you'll see that it stops blinking. You are no longer in blinky mode. So if your class that you run in requires blinky mode, which means no timing and no boost, you got to make sure that stuff's off so that it blinks. Because if you turn it on, it stops blinking. That's pretty much a standard across the board for all ESCs. If you start to mess with your timing or your turbo, the blinky mode goes away, and that's for easy teching. It's so that when you're at a big race, they can just look at your car and say, okay, you have no timing. That's pretty much it, though. It's pretty simple. This thing even records over time. Not used to the front wheel drive here. Our receiver usually sits over here before it's mounted. Those tires are turning. Turn our reverse down a little bit. We're at 100. I'm not supposed to be at 100. We usually do like 50. What's nice about this app is it's immediate. So you don't have to save or anything. It's completely immediate. Yep. So it's nice. Furitek, in my opinion, has one of the best apps and Bluetooth setups of any of the ESCs out there. It's super fast. Like I said, you don't even have to save it. It saves as you go. A lot of them you have to hit save and it takes forever to write. And then when you go into the app, you got to pull the information and it takes forever to pull it off. And so, half the time it doesn't even work. But the Furitek app, I have never had an issue with it actually saving and applying my settings. It's awesome. You're pretty much done. You don't have to do anything else. We can just turn it off or unplug the Bluetooth or whatever. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is install our servo. We're using this PN Anima. That's what we have right now. We actually pulled it out of one of the other cars, and then we're going to end up putting a new servo in that car. It's actually this guy here. This is the Spectre, the Next Racing Spectre. The servo we're going to get actually sits flush with the bottom, so it lowers the center of gravity even more. It's a little bit larger servo, so you get a little bit heavier duty gears and whatnot. So that'll be nice. That should hopefully get here today. We'll do a video on that. So yeah. Make sure you like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so that you know when that video goes up. All right, so we're going to go ahead and put this in. This Atomic does come with a servo saver. That's all this stuff over here in the corner. However, we cannot use this servo saver with the PN servo. The threading or the spline count is the same, but the threading screw is different. It's a much smaller screw. You can see here, that's the size it uses versus this one. You probably can't really tell, but it's a little bit different. I think this is like it's a 1.4, I think, and this is a 2. So it won't fit, and you need to use this to use all the servo saver stuff for the spring and whatnot. So we're going to end up just popping off the link and the ball joint, and we'll throw it on this servo horn here, and we're just going to run without a servo saver. We'll chop it down, and maybe if we have to put a new hole, I think we can probably get away with just using this hole here and then cut off the rest of the horn. So we'll see. Let's go ahead and get it in. Alrighty, so we're going to go put our ball joint in. I think the screw hole is just a little bit bigger than, or the screw is a little bit bigger than the hole here, so we're just going to ream this out just a little bit. Kind of let it have a way to get in there. And we'll try to get this guy in there now. Because you're going into plastic, you want to make sure you're going as straight as possible, because cross-threading it or putting it in an angle would be very easy to do. Yeah, it still doesn't want to go. We can kind of force it. I just don't want it to crack. You can use a tiny, tiny drill bit and try to just clear it out a little bit. File it if you have a tiny file. All right, let's try again. All right, I think we're good. You also want to make sure that your servo and all of your trims are set to 0 before you mount it, because once you put it in there, it's going to be really hard to move that servo horn. And we did this already, but we'll check again. We'll just make sure. Our endpoints are super low, but we're all centered up. Should be straight down. And we can do any other fine adjustments with our trim. This servo tray needs to come out. Okay. Oh, let's not forget to put our servo screw back in. All right. All right, we're all mounted in our tray. Let's go ahead and put it in there. Actually, let's see if we can get it on the ball first. Maybe. No, we better just put it in and see where we're at. Oh man. Seems to be a little long. It's not even that it's too long per se, it's that it's facing, you know, maybe we need to put the screw on the back side and it'll go underneath in the back here. See that? So we've got the arm in the front. Maybe we need to actually mount it in the back. Because it's, I mean, there's no way it's rubbing on our control arm or, you know, link. All right, let's try putting it on the back. All right, so it's mounted on the back side of the servo horn now. That'll give us more clearance towards the front here. Now we just have to see if it's actually if it goes too low, if the horn itself is too long. All right, so it looks like we got clearance. It's not sticking out the bottom too far. If we really need to, I mean, actually it's the link end itself is longer or sticking out further than the horn is, but I think we're fine. It doesn't actually look like it's coming out the bottom. So we should be good. There should be plenty of clearance there. Now we just need to get our link end on the ball. So we went ahead and just pulled the end off of the servo. Probably should have done that in the first place, and now we've got it on there. We did notice it's a little stiff. See that? It like does not want to fall. That'll cause binding in your steering. And so if you end up finding that your steering doesn't feel like it wants to center, check to make sure there's no binding in any of these ball joint points. This definitely is too tight. So one way to fix that is to take some needle nose pliers, and I'll show you on these big ball joints here. and you'll basically just put it on the end, and you're going to squeeze it. Squeeze it together like this, or even better if you can, like this. Just make sure you don't slip off and break them or mar them up or squeeze so hard they crack. But they've got to be on the ball. And if they're on the ball, it basically just kind of compresses the plastic a little bit. I don't know if we can get in there and get this little guy. I don't want to damage it, but let's see. Maybe like this. Sorry, you guys can't really see. It's real hard to see down in there, but you can see the ball down in there. We're trying to get on the joint to be able to give it just a little squeeze and try to loosen it up. You don't want to damage it though. Well, that feels a little better. Still tight though, man. That's better. That's pretty loose. Ideally, you want it to just kind of flop down, but this is definitely better. You can try one more little squeeze. Let's try one more. Yeah, that's better. It's not perfect, but it's definitely better. And over time, it'll kind of work itself and loosen up a little bit. But yeah, that was way too tight. Okay, now we'll just get our servo side back on. Hopefully we'll be good here. I want to make sure it's not rubbing on the chassis. It's close. It actually is rubbing just a tad as it goes this way. You can see it kind of, I think. Maybe not. It's super close though. You see it? Maybe it's not actually hitting. Make sure I'm all the way in. Hold it tight. I think we're good. I think we're good. Worst case, we can sand it down just a tiny bit. But I think we're good. All right, let's get our screws back in. We're actually going to Loctite these because there was no Loctite on them. So we're going to get a little tiny bit of Loctite on there. So little that you really don't even need to squeeze it out of the bottle. You just rub it on the edge. The wrong damn size. I'm like, it's not going. The nice thing about Loctite is you don't have to tighten it down a lot, so you don't have to worry about stripping things. When you Loctite things, you're less likely to strip because you don't have to crank down on it. You know, you just get it snug enough, and the Loctite will do the rest. All right. So I think we're good here. Let's power it on. Let's see. There we go. Let's go ahead and turn up our endpoints. Our endpoints are super low on this channel because we were messing with something else. We were using it for the motorcycles, the next racing motorcycles. Oh yeah, seems good. Let's look underneath here. Yeah, that's plenty of steering. And again, I don't think we're actually hitting, so we probably could go a little further. I think that's our max. I think that's the max of the steering anyway, so we'll turn it down. Yeah, so we're right at 50, basically, for our endpoints. And once we get the car out there, those are going to get turned way down. We use our endpoints instead of our dual rate. We feel like it just gives you a little bit more. It's more precise in your full range. I feel like if you set your endpoints as low as possible and you adjust it with that, and then you can fine tune with your dual rate and your expo. But yeah, that looks good. Man, I'm excited. I'm excited. It's gonna be a fun one. Gonna be a fun one. All right, let's mount this stuff up. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and solder our transponder on. This is actually a DAS Micro transponder for the Easy Lap, and they seem to work great. We have one of the little tiny micro ones, and then this one as well. And we've been using the tiny micro one for a while. It seems to work just fine. They're pretty cheap. They're like $15 and $13. I think the larger one, this one is $13, and the little tiny one is $14 or $15. We're just going to solder on here, and then we're going to mount it probably right in here. Basically, you want to check your body, make sure you can see it's got to have line of sight. So we should be good with something like this. We just want to make sure we're clear from multiple bodies. Man, that one's plenty fine. Just don't like to move it once it's in there. So, yeah, I think we'll need access to that. Maybe not. Maybe not. And if we do, it's probably not a big deal to remove it if we have to move it, because that's probably going to be something we don't have to mess with much. Or maybe we'll just pull off the whole center bar here, because you probably have to pull that off, and so putting it right between the screws here, pull the screws off, and we're good. We are also going to trim down this battery lead. We're probably going to bring it to like here. We don't want all this extra wire, so we'll just chop it right about here. And that should give us plenty without being messy. Actually, damn it, we probably wanted to do this one first. Let's pull these back off. Because of the angle that this is going to be wrapping around over, so we'll have the leads. We need to have these on the bottom. And sometimes, because we're in Colorado, the static electricity builds up a lot on the carpet track or on the foam track. And so we'll have brownouts on our ESCs in our receiver if our receiver's too low. Hopefully I'm good here, because we're sitting kind of high and we're on top of the servo, but if it was sitting directly on the plate, it could build up static electricity and it causes a brownout. So you'll end up taking a lead from your negative, and you'll just ground it out somewhere on your chassis. You'll put it under, one of the screw mounts. Probably not that, but no, you don't want to do that. But one of these screw mounts, or you could try to solder it onto the chassis, but it's got to be touching the metal part of the chassis if you've got a metal chassis. That'll help ground it out. And then you don't have as many brownouts. And it's because the air is so dry and static electricity builds up very easily here. Simple as that. Make sure we're not going to short out here. Bam. Still good. All right. All right, we're going to go ahead and mount this. So there's the finished product, basically. We are completely good to go. Just need to get our front clip on and the body. I think we're going to roll this. I think that's what we're going to do. That should be pretty sweet. I almost want to just leave it white, honestly. So yeah, that might be a thing. We might just leave it white. Don't even paint it. Maybe just sticker it up a little bit. I don't know. The white's pretty slick. You can do the accessories in silver, maybe white and silver. That'd be interesting. Or white and red accents. We could do like just thin red accent. The wing and the vents in here. I don't know. We trimmed the whole front off. There was a giant lip on the front of this and some like diffuser wings. and we shaved all that down so it's a little bit more smooth. That way when you hit the walls, you're not getting stuck under them or spinning out because you're hitting them and your wings getting caught. So we shaved that down. We think it still looks really good. Not quite as exotic or sporty, but again, if we're trying to drive it on a track, it's a toy. So we want to make sure we aren't getting stuck. All right, let's I guess we'll put this body on, maybe. Yeah, we're gonna run it hopefully tomorrow night, so we got to put something on it. Something we totally forgot to show. I mean, we didn't forget, but we forgot to show it. The sensor wire. So you want to make sure, obviously, you've got your sensor wire if you are running censored. I wish it was a little shorter. These aren't really something you can easily shorten. I mean, you can shorten it, but it's kind of a pain. Maybe we'll twist it up. Try to take up a little less space. I kind of like the look of it. If you could just make it nice and short and make it super smooth looking. But actually, maybe we can. Let's do this. Let's see. Bring it along the inside here. And then we can wrap it maybe like so. I don't know. It's crazy when you hook it up, you can feel it's more smooth, like the throttle control is a lot more smooth. When you go from reverse to forward, it's just like instantaneous and super smooth. Pretty sick. Pretty sick. Oh, hold on. So we mentioned the servo, and it showed up while we were filming. So this servo is going in this guy here. This is the Next Racing Spectre. And as I said, it should drop down and sit flush. So we'll see. We'll do a video on that. Make sure you keep an eye out for it. Back to this guy. I guess we got to go run it. Like I said, we're going to run this body, we think. We've already got the front clip on, so we're pretty much getting there. We're probably just going to leave it all white. I don't know, kind of lazy right now. With the paint. Every time I paint something, it just gets destroyed. I just don't want it to look the same as every other car, but it's a Lambo, so hopefully it'll stand out because everybody's running the Juma-ramas. So, whatever. It's for fun. Let's go. So this is what we're going to run. We're going to try to run it tonight. We don't have an all-wheel drive class, but maybe we'll get there. But we're just going to run around during practice and see how it does. Using the GL Lambo body. We decided just to leave it all white. Just easier. Added some silver accents, some black accents. Did the diffuser. Added the silver in the grills. Threw a couple of our little stickers on there. Straightforward. You know, we did the glass, the bolts around the glass. Did those in silver and the clips. The vents, side pieces. It's simple, but it was quick and easy. Yeah. It looks pretty sharp with the white wheels, kind of fun. Well, it's kind of plain, but kind of cool too. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think in the comments below. What would you have done? What colors? We can still always paint it again. Now we just get to go drive it. Let's go drive it. We're also going to check the motor. So we're going to go ahead and check the KV of the 5500. We'll see what we're actually at. Looks like we're hitting 5743, 5741. Yeah, right around 5745, 5750. Seems good for 5500. And smooth. So yeah, seems good. We'll do one more. Let's do one more just to double check. We'll go the other way. We'll flip it. 57, 56, 57, 59. Seems good.
73, 83, 73, 8 flat, 7 flat, 9 7, 8 flat, 8
So it seems like it's running pretty good. It's a little warm. A little warm. We're running at 27. We probably should be running at 26 because it's got plenty of speed. But we need to get new diffs. One of our pinions on our drive pinion, I think it's actually the rear, it's kind of chewed up a little bit. We're gonna get the aluminum diffs. I don't think they make aluminum drive pinions, but definitely get new drive pinions. And then we broke a body mount. We got nailed and we broke our body mount. So we're gonna get the aluminum body mounts. But overall, this system, the Furitek system, seems great, dude. The on-the-fly changes that the Furitek ESC has is awesome. Like, you can just change them while you're up on the driver's stand when you're on your phone, you know. It's so sweet. Like, a lot of them you got to plug in and then download, and even if it's got the Bluetooth or over the air, it just, like, the updating takes forever, and like, it's not on the fly, so you can't just adjust it, give it a little throttle, see how you feel, adjust it again. You gotta, it's tedious. So this is fantastic. So we love the Furitek. Killed it. They probably are the best on the market as far as the app's concerned, by far. So we love that. Awesome little setup. Fun car. Hopefully you'll see more of it in the future, because hopefully we're driving it more. We just don't have any classes here, so nobody really runs them, but maybe eventually we'll get some people out here running them. Right now we've got the 5500, so we're definitely mod, but it'd be cool to do like kind of a spec super stock 3500, something like that. I don't know. Alrighty.
7 4, 7 1, 9 1, 7 5, 9 1.
This thing has been a blast. It's been fun. I mean, we've only driven it like 2 nights worth of racing realistically, and it's just been super fun. There is, like I mentioned before, some work we got to do. We got a kind of a stripped pinion on the drive shaft and our broken clip, but it's all good. It's a cool ass car. If you're looking for an all-wheel drive car, I highly recommend the Atomic. This thing, it seems great. It seems great. There are some upgrades you're definitely going to want to make. Like the chassis, I think, is going to be a big deal. Get you that extra weight down low. They don't make a brass chassis for this, I believe. They have 2 different kinds of upgrades. The spring steel, and then I think an aluminum, and then the carbon fiber, obviously. But you definitely want to get a little bit more weight down low. We should be running it with a Lexan realistically if we're running in mod, which means we can pull off our body clips, and that'll give us a little bit more space to mount up in here. We mentioned that before as well. Really though, the shine on this whole thing are these guys. Like these 2 little guys right here are awesome. The new Furitek motor and the Cyclos, which is their new ESC, the censored combo is just awesome. Furitek, I mean, I can't say enough about these guys. They are killing it. They're fairly new to the RC scene, but with the crawlers, the SCX24s and the FCX and their little monster truck, their electronics and their app are just killing it. They've got other Mini Z stuff. They've got the momentum and non-censored motors, and those are great also. But this newest stuff is just awesome, 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 awesome. They're also coming out, which we just found out. They had talked to us before in the past about it, but now they've confirmed that they are going to be releasing a Mini B, Mini T sized censored motor and ESC combo. So they're going to have a separate ESC, just external ESC censored with a Mini B sized motor censored. And it's going to be 6100 kV, and it's going to use the same Bluetooth connector as all the other stuff, same app. So you're going to be able to change things on the fly, and it's just going to be sick. So we are super excited to see that as well, and we'll do a video on that. So make sure you like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell. That way you know when this stuff is coming. We have tons of content. We're constantly making videos. Go back through our history of videos. You can always search through our channel and find stuff that you hadn't seen before. Tons of great content out there. And if you find something you really, really love, share it out in your groups, guys. We're just trying to hit that 10,000 mark, and we're going to get there. But with your help, we can get there a lot faster. So hit that subscribe. It's just a click for you, but means the world to me. And man, if you made it this long in the video, let's put Hellfire, because that's the name of the motor. Hellfire. Put it in the comments below to tell me I watched the whole video. Guys, have fun with the sport, the hobby, whatever. Play with your toys, and get more people to play with you. We need more people in this hobby. And show them my videos, show them your cars. Always lend people cars, trucks, planes, boats, whatever RC you're into, especially if it's a mini RC. And let's just get more people in this hobby. We need more people. It's always fun to race and drive and crawl and bash with other people. It's fun by yourself, but it's way more fun when you have people. So let's grow this, guys. Get out there, run your cars, smash them, crash them, bash them, but don't break the expensive parts.